Paul and Jessica were married for 6 years. In the last two, Paul became consumed by work, chasing promotions and dreaming of building a home for them someday. They lived in a modest apartment, both working steady jobs, but Paul's long hours shifted the dynamic. The spark faded. He often felt like they were just sharing space rather than sharing a life. Whenever Jessica tried to reconnect, he was too distracted to notice. By the time he sensed the distance growing, she had already stopped trying. News came through the office. Paul would soon begin traveling more frequently for work. His first trip was only weeks away, and surprisingly, he felt a flicker of hope. Part of it was pride. He was being trusted with bigger responsibilities. But another part came from a memory. His last trip, over a year ago, had sparked something between them. Jessica had missed him, and their reunion had felt like old times, even if only briefly. He hoped this new trip might reignite something again. When the day came, he packed, kissed Jessica goodbye, and left. She seemed somber at the door, which comforted him. Maybe she still cared. But her sadness wasn't about Paul leaving. She was simply worn out, tired of the routine, and she was already thinking of how she'd enjoy her week alone. Her phone rang almost immediately. It was an old friend, recently divorced and living it up. She was hosting a party at a bar she had connections with. The invite was tempting. The bar owner had given her the place for the night, and the guest list promised excitement. Jessica stared at herself in the mirror, imagining a break from her dull marriage. There was no need to tell Paul about any of it. When Paul returned a week later, Jessica greeted him with surprising energy. She chatted more, smiled brighter, but something felt off. She had changed her hairstyle, started wearing heels again, and there was a new air about her, confident, radiant. Still, she kept pushing away his advances. She claimed to be tired or not in the mood. Paul couldn't make sense of it. For a brief moment, he wondered if she might be pregnant. But something else was going on. A month passed, and another business trip was scheduled. On the day of his departure, Paul packed as usual, planning to catch an evening train. But a sudden update postponed his trip by a month. Carrying a suitcase, he headed home early, unannounced. He walked in and nearly collided with Jessica in the hallway. She looked stunning, hair perfectly done, bold makeup, a form-fitting dress that clung to her in all the right places. It wasn't how she usually dressed, not unless it was something major. Paul paused, confused. "Forget something?" he asked. Jessica hesitated, glancing at her phone. "Naomi's birthday," she replied, pulling her coat tighter. A couple of quick honks sounded from outside. She scrambled to text someone back. Paul's instincts flared. He rushed to the window, but the car was already gone. He asked to see her phone. Nothing suspicious, no recent messages, no calls. But the unease lingered. They argued, tension bubbling over. Jessica didn't end up going out that night, but Paul's suspicion had taken root. He needed answers and a plan. When his next trip came up, he pretended everything was normal. Over dinner, he casually mentioned the upcoming travel. Jessica tried to act indifferent, but he caught a flicker of satisfaction in her eyes. The day of the trip, Paul packed his bags, kissed her goodbye, and left. Only he didn't go far. He checked into a hotel nearby and waited. That evening, as Jessica left work, Paul watched from a distance. She immediately pulled out her phone, called someone, and scanned the street. A car pulled up. Her face lit up. She wasn't just catching a ride. She greeted the driver with a flirtatious hug. Paul followed the car, heart pounding. It didn't head to a hotel or a private spot. It drove straight to their apartment. The man stepped out and opened the door for her like a date. Jessica giggled as she wrapped her arms around him. Paul waited in the shadows. The apartment lights came on. Then the bedroom light flicked off. That was all he needed. He slipped inside quietly, grabbing the baseball bat they kept in the hallway closet for emergencies. The music inside masked his approach. In the bedroom, Jessica was straddling the man when Paul burst in and flipped on the lights. He didn't aim at anyone. Instead, he swung the bat into the speaker, silencing the music in a violent crash. Jessica screamed and fell back. The man froze. Paul's voice came out low and cold. "Get out. Now! The guy didn't argue. He bolted, barely grabbing his shoes. Paul turned to Jessica, still trembling. You, too. Pack your things. 10 minutes. He walked out before rage got the better of him. Jessica, pale and shaken, threw clothes into a bag and left. Days later, Paul filed for divorce. The damage was beyond repair. Jessica tried reaching her fling that same night, calling him over and over, trying to twist the story, claiming Paul had lost his mind. But the man never answered. Eventually, he blocked her. She moved in with the same friend who had first pulled her into the party scene. 2 newly single women under one roof, free to chase thrills and weekend distractions. But beneath the surface, it was all hollow. The nights were fleeting, and nothing ever lasted.